Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Today, I want to do things a little different. Normally, I talk a lot about the science and stuff, and what I'm just going to share a little bit about my story today. So please, please, if you're hopping on, share this out with someone who may be suffering with joint pain and being limited by just overall pain in their body because if they're like me, they've likely been told that there's nothing they can do. I've had 3 joint replacement surgeries, and I now know that none of those surgeries had to happen, yet no one told me about it. I had a naturopathic doctor who told me you could regrow joint tissue, and I thought, "That's a wild claim. It would be so amazing if it's true, but come on, let's live in the real world. Let's deal with reality." And she just kept saying, "No, you can regrow your joint tissue." But the problem was nobody had any direct answers for me as to why my joint tissue was failing, why my bones and joints were failing, and the best they could do was give me cortisol shots and pain meds and then eventually lead into surgery. I now have one joint that was supposed to get replaced 3 years ago and no longer needs to be replaced. So we're going to dive in. I want to share my story with you so you can understand how this can work for you. So again, please share this out if you know anyone who's suffering with joint pain or their life being limited by joint pain. Maybe someone who's thinking they may have to have joint surgeries, because not only are those surgeries expensive on your pocketbook, they're expensive on your health, and I'll explain all of that in a little bit. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Misha. I was a 4-time world champion powerlifter, and people assumed that my joints were deteriorating because of powerlifting, but what they didn't know was that my joints had been deteriorating long before I started powerlifting. And again, I'm going to tell you, no medical professional, no therapist, no gym owner was able to tell me why my my joints were failing me and costing me quality of life. I stumbled on the answer really by accident, and I'm going to talk about all of that. But first, uh, I know that somebody might be able to resonate with this. So it doesn't matter whether you're at the athletic level that I was at, if your life is being impeded by joint pain. So this was my story. I was that world champion athlete. I throughout my whole life I was determined and driven and just doing big things, and all of a sudden one day I found myself, not all of a sudden, it was over time, but I had the realization that the joint pain and deterioration that I was having was costing me my life quality. Okay. So I remember working 2 jobs. Number we're gonna tie in a few things. I worked 2 jobs as a single grandma to just make ends meet, to be able to pay my rent, pay my electric bill, pay my gym dues so I could get to the gym and just have a basic life. So I was working 2 jobs, both of them in medical. So I was working with doctors. Um, I would work in clinic over during the day, Monday through Friday, and every other Saturday. I would work overnights in homes with disabled people, and so it was just like transitioning from one job to another and trying to fit workouts in between. That alone was a tough existence. We'll talk about some of that in a bit, but at some point, um, I was working in clinic, and my mind was strong enough, right, that I could just push through the pain. I would get up, I would get to work, was able to push through the pain, but there came a point when my body said, "Enough is enough." And even though mentally I'm there and mentally I'm like, "I'm gonna do this," my legs started giving out on me mid-clinic. So in the middle of clinic hours, rooming patients, my legs would go out. I'd either fall to the floor or have to catch the walls on either side to prevent from falling to the floor. And after seeing this happen multiple times, the doctor started to see me as a physical liability in clinic. Now, at that point in time, I had so many not customers, but patients calling in talking about what a great medical assistant I was, what great care I gave them, how relatable I was, and just that they were very happy with me and they wanted me when they came into clinic. So it wasn't my work performance, but it was that my legs were just failing, and it became an issue of could I physically do the job? Good morning, Jason. I'm going to be sharing your story later this week. So let's get together and get you back on track, bud. I mean, he's on track with his health, but him and we haven't connected for a while. Jason has a powerful story too. So that meant that my source of income was going away. And I ended up driving for Lyft and Uber because I couldn't stand up and be in clinic. I could no longer lift and help transition patients who were disabled. It was a whole shift in my life. And besides that, at that point in time, I had to give up lifting. I remember a day where I was in the gym and I had come home just a year earlier from winning gold medal at world championships. And nobody knew because I don't share this stuff normally. I do with you guys because I've learned to, but I wasn't sharing with everybody what was going on because I felt like a failure because my joints were failing and because nobody could give me answers as to why. So I felt like I was defunct and there's just something wrong with me and I'm incomplete as a human. Hey, Kev, good to see you this morning. So all of that just led me to this place where I'm finishing up my workout and I need to get to the door to get to my car to get home so I can rest so that I can go out and work. And every 3 to 6 steps, I'm stopping as I'm walking across the gym floor. And other lifters, the gym owner, people were starting to ask me questions. Misha, why do you stop every few steps and just stand there for a few minutes? Well, the truth was, and I couldn't articulate at the time, I didn't want to admit that I had been a world champion a year earlier, and here I am now with my body failing me. But the truth was, my joints were disjointing. And so my knees would go out of place, and it was excruciatingly painful, trying to keep a smile on my face, trying to keep moving. And I really couldn't move until that joint started to drift back into place. And then I could walk as far as I could walk until it did it again. Both knees were doing this. And it eventually left me not only physically in pain, physically problematic, but emotionally and mentally, I just couldn't bear these constant questions and the feeling of having to try and relate this to everybody all the time. Now I'm going to get further into that story, but uh, a little bit of a spoiler alert. What I didn't know at the time that I know now, and I want you guys to know, is that insulin resistance was causing that joint deterioration. I never needed to be at that point in my life. I never needed to have that kind of disability. I never needed to have that kind of limitation in my life. And neither do you or the people that you love are suffering like this. That's why I'm here sharing it. So once I understood that insulin resistance was causing the problem, I was able to get better. And I didn't even understand that insulin resistance was causing the problem. The joints got better as a side effect of me addressing insulin resistance and diabetes and some weight that I wanted to lose. So now I can't work in the gym. I can't work out like I wanted to. I was the ability to compete was taken away. A doctor actually told me, Misha, if you squat wrong, if you deadlift wrong one time, you're going to lose your left leg. Has anybody ever faced something like that? Because that was devastating. As an athlete, that was devastating to me to hear that the thing that I loved more than not more than my family, but almost as much as my family. The thing that kept me going was being taken away from me, and I had no answers as to why it was happening or no answers as to how I could make it better. And it just left me feeling emotionally depleted and withdrawing from the world. So not only did I lose my job and have to start driving for Lyft and Uber, which was tough, you guys, that's a tough job. Don't let anybody fool you. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. But now I'm losing my ability to lift, and now I'm withdrawing from the world. So anybody else out there ever feel like your health is deteriorating and you just can't cope with being around other people because you're tired of questions, you're tired of feeling broken, you're tired of of not being the person you felt like you were. Miss Barbara, can you clarify that for me? She says, "Sounds like personal injury." It was it was actually this metabolic issue that was causing my joints and my health and so many other issues, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, teeth and gums bleeding, hair falling out, inflammation and swelling throughout the body, and just on and on and on. Sleep apnea was one of them. Um, but it wasn't an injury per se that caused it. It was this metabolic issue that 99% of us are facing. And I'm going to share the protocol that I used in a minute. But you guys, it was a devastating part of life to be in. And I know there are other people there. So that's why I'm sharing this again. Share this out with people who might be able to resonate with this. So I go from being world champion athlete, working 2 jobs to driving Lyft and Uber, and I remember one day my son said, "Mom, why don't you just get a real job? This Lyft thing is really tough on you." And I was like, "Because I'm in so much pain that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get up and make it to a job, at least with Lyft and Uber. If I'm in pain, I can put it off for a half an hour, until I have enough mental fortitude to get out there and work." I had vertigo, so that meant like leaning, even sitting in a chair, leaning over to grab files would maybe make me fall out of my chair, which was scary that I was driving that way, right? But all of this stuff related back to insulin resistance. And so let's go a little bit forward. So I had this mental breaking point. I'm now doing a job that I'm not familiar with. I'm being taken away from all the people and the things I love because of my physical limitations, and doctors aren't helping me. They're trying. They're trying. I'm going to say that they're trying, but they're not really helping. And I just found myself one day going from being this super productive person to sitting on my couch in pain, scrolling through TikTok, right? Scrolling through social media. And I remember thinking, what the hell happened to my life? Why am I here? I've tried to do the right things on my life. I've been physically active. I was an athlete since high school. I I had no idea how I ended up this old woman sitting on a couch in pain, just pulling away from the world in depression and anxiety over what was happening to me. And I still didn't understand. So, the breaking point for me, or the turning point for me, was scrolling through TikTok, like, or social media, like a lot of you guys are doing right now. And I heard somebody talking about this system. At that point in time, I wasn't even concerned with my joints. Yeah, they were a problem. Yeah, the osteoporosis, the osteoarthritis, the rheumatoid arthritis, all of the pain that was riddling my body was a concern. But the most predominant concerns for me at the time were diabetes and that I was gaining weight that I couldn't get off. Um, so that was my focus. And I saw this guy talking about it and a natural protocol, because I am not, anybody who knows me knows I am not a proponent for medications. Yes, they can be life-saving, and so in the right time and place, I am. But as a daily remedy, I am not. I even asked my doctors to allow me to speak with our patients in clinic about more natural remedies over some of the medications, and I was given the okay to do that oftentimes in some of the clinics. Okay, some of the clinics were not, nope, we're just given medication, that's it. But just know that I'm not a proponent of medications. I'm always a proponent of a more natural solution. So this guy is talking about that. He's talking about a protocol that could help with diabetes, could reverse diabetes, could help with my weight loss. And so after having tried what I felt like was everything else, so I don't know how many of you guys have tried everything. Like I did keto, I did veganism. As an athlete, I did carb backloading. I did all the things. I was constantly studying nutrition and how to help my body perform better and what foods I should eat. And I tracked all my macros at one point. And I was doing all of this stuff to try and be as healthy as I could be. And sure, I could lose a little bit of weight being a super productive athlete, but by now I'm not working out like that anymore. I can't. and I'm trying to readjust my diet, and I'm putting on weight inexplicably, eating clean, and I just felt like everything was failing me. Even, like, I had a friend send me the big, huge book, the Medical Mediums book, um, I think it was Cleanse to Heal, something like that, and I remember sitting down creating these spreadsheets because 'cause I'm a spreadsheet person, and so I took all of the symptoms I was having, and I looked through the book, and I made these spreadsheets of all of the remedies he suggested and all the natural supplements he suggested, and I found the intersections between the, top, symptoms I was having and his remedies, and I created this amazing, crazy shake that I was drinking every day to try and feed my body what it needed to heal, but I didn't feel like I was healing. But I was going to the grocery store every 3 days to buy all the stuff, wild blueberries, spirulina, kale, black seed oil, all the stuff, lemons, ginger, cayenne pepper, and I was making these crazy shakes with a big, Ninja blender, and I just wasn't feeling better. And you know what the other problem was? If I went to see my family, what am I gonna do? Pack my Ninja and all of that stuff, or hope that I could find all of those things where I was going to or travel with it? No, I couldn't do any of that, and it just wasn't getting better. My doctor had put me on metformin for a while, wasn't helping, made me feel worse. So I was really at this down and out point, and when I saw this guy talking about the protocol I'm gonna share with you guys, I felt like it was a Hail Mary because at that point, I really didn't feel like I was gonna live past 65, and that was when I was about 57. Thought, "Man, if I have 10 years left in me, that's gonna be a really good outlook for me." And I would lay in bed at night crying because I felt like I was failing my family. I had grandchildren, still do. My both of my kids were, like, right around 30 years old, and how could I have failed them so much that I was this sick that they were either gonna have to take care of me or lose me so early in life, and I felt like a failure. Not only was I in physical pain, I was in emotional pain. So now I find this protocol and I'm texting the guy on every platform I can find him on, like, help me. Give me the answer. I need this. Because you guys, at that point, the other thing is it costs about $5 a day, right? But I oftentimes was having to choose between groceries and my electric bill. And I thought, man, how can I afford this? But the other part of my brain was, how can I not afford it? What was going on in my brain was, look, I can either fail my kids or I can try one more thing. Just one more thing. So all of you guys who feel like I've tried everything, I've tried, and I've heard this from people. I've tried every supplement. I'm not wasting my money. Well, guess what? I have a 98-day money back guarantee. What do you got to lose? That's where I was at. Like, Nisha, pick up those darts, throw them at the dartboard, see if something sticks. So I finally get the system in. I got it on a Saturday. On a Sunday, I started it. On a Wednesday, I was on a Zoom call with a business partner, and she stopped me, said, "Stop." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "Your mental clarity is better. You are glowing. Your mood is better. You're more on point with everything. You're not struggling for words. You're just it's something is different. What did you do?" So then I shared with her the system, and she now is on the system as well. And then the next day I had a doctor's appointment and my blood pressure had been about 180 over 150 every single day at some point. The best we could get it into in the doctor's office was 150 over 110. And for the first time in 20 years, I had a semi-normal blood pressure reading. It was 126 over 84. You guys, not only, was I starting to notice a reduction in pain, but having that blood pressure come down was key for me, and I screamed like a little girl in the doctor's office. I was like, "Ah!" And she came into the room and I said, "Look at my chart. Did you look at my vitals?" Because to be honest, they don't always look at your vitals. They take them for documentation, but they're not always checking them. So she opens up my chart and she looks, and then she called the medical assistant back in because she could not believe that my blood pressure was 126 over 84. She had been working with me for years on my blood pressure, on my joints, on all of these things. I had this laundry list of things I was suffering with. This poor woman was running around trying to figure out what was going on with me. And here, all of a sudden, out of the blue, my blood pressure somewhat normalizes. Now, to be honest, the blood pressure didn't fully normalize for about a year because your body has to make the changes and heal, right? But the fact that it did that within 6 days was the moment I said, I'm giving this the full 90 days. I don't care the cost. I'll figure out how to afford it. I'm going to do this. And eventually, the joint swelling started going down. Now, I did have a left knee replacement right as I started the system. My right knee was supposed to be replaced in 2022, but by the time I was on the system for a year, that right knee had regenerated. Remember, there was a naturopath telling me you could regenerate your joints, you could strengthen your bones, you could do all of this stuff, but nobody was giving me real actionable answers as to how. Well, within 1 year on this protocol, my joints were stronger, my bones were stronger, and I no longer had to schedule a second surgery. Now, if you haven't had a knee replacement or you're looking at one, I've had both hips replaced. Was it painful? Yeah. People will say childbirth is the worst pain. I'm going to tell you, a knee replacement is far worse than childbirth. Did I look forward to having a second knee replaced? Hell no. So when I could find a solution that said, okay, your joints are regenerating, you don't need this. You don't need the cortisol shots. You don't need the pain meds. You don't need all of this other stuff. Your joints are actually getting better. I was like, hallelujah, my Hail Mary won. Like, it's worth that $5 a day for me. I'm not having that joint pain. I don't have to have another joint replacement surgery. And actually, I remember also being able to kneel. Now, in medical, we had to go through CPR training. Hello, Lucia from Toronto. It's so nice to see you. So, and the CPR training meant I had to kneel on the floor to be able to do this training, and I couldn't. My joints were so bad. It was painful, and I'm sucking it up, like trying to be brave and trying to figure out how to get on the floor. And all of a sudden, a year after being on the protocol, I can kneel again. I can get up and down off the floor. That is freeing. So you can regenerate cartilage and tissue. What I want you to understand is that inflammation in the body, and I'm going to go over that in a second, is causing joint deterioration. What oftentimes is causing the inflammation or exacerbating it is insulin resistance. And we'll go over that also. Okay, so understand that. I was able to regenerate. In fact, I have x-rays where the right knee that we never replaced now, the meniscal tissue on one side was, you could see it, and the meniscal tissue on the inside of my knee, the interior point, was so thin it was almost non-existent. A year later, that meniscal space had leveled out and thickened up. So did we run in and, like, take biopsies of my meniscus? No, but I have x-rays that show that I went from a meniscus that looked like this to a meniscus that was like this, and then that's why my joints stopped hurting. But not only that, the ligaments that are holding and the tendons that are holding everything together started to strengthen up, so the knee was not slipping in and out of joint anymore, right? The inflammation that was in the knee that causes bursas and stuff was calming down and going away. All of that as an indirect action to, or a direct action to, addressing insulin resistance. And I actually had to talk to my doctor about how this happened, because although they know it can happen, they don't know how it can happen. And they're not, one of the things we need to understand is that doctors are not given nutritional courses in college. I'm gonna reword that. They have the opportunity to take them, but 80% of physicians do not take a nutritional course in college. And the 20% that do likely have one nutritional course. And that means understanding something like insulin resistance until recently has been impossible for most doctors. Right, the body, and I love that statement, Lucia. She says, "I'm happy for you. That's wonderful news. The body is a complex and smart organism. It's capable of healing." With that statement, I want to quantify that a little bit, okay? When our body is given the right nutrition, when our body's given the right tools, it can do amazing things. Even at an age like 60, you can regenerate, you can build muscle, you can do things that they say are impossible. But let's dive into insulin resistance a little bit so that everybody understands insulin resistance, because what it really is this. We're getting in too much energy in the form of glucose into our system, and the body's smart, right? So we have these systems built in to deal with glucose, because more than 1 teaspoon of sugar or glucose in our system is too much. Why diabetics pee? They're trying to get rid of inflammation and toxins and stuff. You're peeing because your body's like on this crisis mode of getting all this toxins out of your system. Part of the other thing that's happening is insulin goes up every time your glucose goes up. Hey, Vasan, good to see you this morning. So every time your sugar goes up, your insulin goes up. What's insulin? Insulin is a hormone that's there to deliver this energy of glucose to the cells of the body. And every cell of the body has an insulin receptor. So is insulin really the problem? For most of us, it's the glucose. Sipping on apple flavor since it's freezing where I live. I have I'm gonna pause for a second. I have the apple tea and our matcha tea mixed. If you haven't done that, Vasan, try it. It makes an amazing drink. That's what's in my cup this morning. We're gonna talk about the tea in a minute, but I want you to understand insulin resistance. So sugar goes up, insulin goes up. When insulin is high in our system all the time, um, then you're starting to have build this thing where insulin resistance occurs. And what that really means is the receptors on your cells stop working. They stop letting the energy into the cells. There's a whole biological thing that happens, but what you need to know is your cells can't take in the energy. That means your bones, your ligaments, your joints, your muscle tissue cannot get the energy they're meant to have, and your body starts to fail. So I'm going to go back to this because Lucia, background is in pharmacy, would love to connect with you. We can perhaps collaborate. Lucia, I would love to collaborate. In fact, we have pharmacists who are actually doing the system, and a couple of them have said this is the biggest thing that they've seen, the most helpful thing that they've seen in all their years in pharmaceutical or in pharmacy. So look, what a lot of people don't understand is that pharmacists actually have a level of education that rivals what your doctor has. They have to understand everything the doctor does in order to be able to deal with the medications they're handing you. So they're highly educated people. And yes, Lucia, I would love to collaborate. If you go to the Linktree link in my profile, there's a link to my WhatsApp. Shoot me a message and let's talk, because I would love to talk with you about this, because I think we can affect a lot of people. So the cells are no longer as sensitive to receiving the insulin, correct. So now they're just not, some cells, and let's quantify that. Some cells are not taking in insulin, some cells are not as receptive, some cells are taking in too much. But at the end of the day, what's happening is insulin is trying to get this glucose out of your system. The cells are saying, nope, not having it, and it ends up putting it in your fat cells. That's the storage unit. The warehouse in your body is your fat cells. If you're putting on fat, that's an indication, one indication that you have excess insulin, because insulin is now taking all this energy that you've gotten in and putting it in your fat cells. All right, I'm getting a little off track, but I want you to understand insulin resistance. So when we get to this point, the body is breaking down and it's having lots of issues. It can't regenerate the joints like it should. It can't regenerate or keep the bones as strong as it should. And you're building inflammation throughout the body through things like oxidative stress and a number of other issues. It's not just happening in your joints, it's happening in your gut and other places as well. So The key, you guys, is much simpler than anybody. Thank you, Lucia. I really work hard to understand all of this so I can translate it for people, because I think it's important that we understand what's happening. And yeah, some people are like, it just works. It just works. Just do it. It works. But my mind wants to understand why it's working. And I think some people are skeptical until they can understand why this works, that it's not just some snake oil or something, crazy thing out there that's being given out. I want people to understand there's science behind this, and there's real scientists working behind the scenes on all of this metabolic issues and insulin resistance and how it leads into things like joint pain in our life. So now my body's filled with inflammation for a number of reasons: stress, cortisol, constant surgeries causing inflammation, high sugars. What most of you need to do is understand that this constant eating is causing this constant spiking of blood sugars. Vasan, so just got the number 3 gifter badge. Thank you. You tell people if you're unhappy, get your money back in 90 days. Exactly that, Vasan. And that's how I took this, was like, we're going to go back to that story real quick, because when I started, remember, it was a Hail Mary. I didn't think I had the finances. I thought I was going to die in a few years. That's the big word, right? Um, and I just needed to do something. But even though I thought I couldn't afford it, I knew that my physical health couldn't not afford it. And 90 days, I could do it for 90 days. And if it was another thing that didn't work, at least I got my money back from that one. None of the other stuff. I didn't get a money back guarantee on the medical medium book. I didn't get a money back guarantee on all the keto programs and all the stuff I did. No money back guarantee on that. But this gave me a money back guarantee. So I tried it. It was a stretch for me at first, because it wasn't like I was just like, oh yeah, I got $5 to pour out. It was a stretch. Lucia, I'm currently in Kentucky, but the cool thing is all of this can be done digitally. And so, yeah, we definitely can connect. Now, if you're in the area near Cincinnati and Kentucky, I would love to meet up in person. But if you're not, it's still okay, because the world today works on digital everything. And that makes it really great for all of us. I love the world we live in today, actually. So back to the story. This system, and I'm going to share it with you. It's so simple, you guys. We're integrating real food. You don't have to change everything drastically. Look, if you love Indian food, eat Indian food. If you are a Hispanic and you love Mexican food, eat that. If you are like me and you eat everything on the board, eat that. If you love pasta and stuff, you can have that. We'll tell you how to deal with it. But I want you to start making better choices, and I help you with understanding what that is without complicating your life. So understand that nutrition is at the basis of everything that's going wrong with your body that's not viral or bacterial, right? So most of our chronic illnesses today lead back to our nutrition. And what's wrong with our nutrition is that our food system is defunct today. We're getting foods that are stripped of fiber, stripped of nutrients, and our body is paying the price. And then as a result, what the doctor is telling you is, here's another medication, here's another medication, here's another medication. And none of those are fixing why your joints are deteriorating, why you're in pain, why your energy is low, why you have brain fog, why any of this is happening. Let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food is absolutely correct. And that's what I've leaned into. You guys, it doesn't have to be hard. This is so much easier than you think. And my philosophy is take small steps that lead to big results, right? We all can't just go and change everything in our world today to make this happen. We all have to be able to know that we can make small steps, be supported along the way, and get to that path, right? We all need to know we can get there by taking small steps. And the first step is understanding that insulin resistance is probably at the core, and that there is a system that helps with that. So this is what it looks like. Vasan was talking about it. Jason was on here, and not Lucia. Lucia is new to me. Oh, come on. Oh, anyway, there's been a number of people on here. So it looks like this. I have a tea in the morning that helps me with satiety, mental clarity, energy. It helps regulate my blood pressure. And when I talk about regulate blood pressure, if your blood pressure is low, it's going to help you stabilize that. If your blood pressure is high, it's going to help you stabilize that. Drinking the tea does not take a blood pressure and drop it. It's stabilizing it. So whether you're on either side, it's stabilizing that blood pressure. Now, that was key for me. Okay. So it's a tea that I drink in the morning. It's a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat. What these two components are doing are putting back in the nutrition that the food industry has stripped away from us. Even our raw organic foods are 40 to 70% less dense in critical nutrients than they were 50, 60 years ago. And that is impacting our bodies. It's it's devastating to our bodies, right? That food problem is is a real problem for most of us. So Mars, if your blood pressure drops too low, what I want to tell you is continue. Please, when you guys have blood pressure problems and that, please continue to work with your physician, your medical health professional. Please, please, please do that. I'm not claiming to make any miraculous claims, but I do know that components in this, like chlorogenic acids, can help stabilize blood pressure. So Mars, what I would say is what I would do. Knowing everything I know now, I would give it a shot. Remember, you have a 90-day money back guarantee. This is food and it's nutrients. It's not some chemical that's going to interact with any medications you're on or any therapies you're on. I was on 13 medications when I started. 13. Do you know how many medications? Anybody guess how many medications I'm on now? Oh boy, I dove into something too deeply and TikTok is throttling me. Thank goodness I'm on other platforms. So anybody want to guess how many medications um you don't go to the doctor, you visited me. Just 43, just had a birthday. So understand that. Just drink the tea, give it a shot, pay attention to your blood pressure, make the other changes in your life. So 1 to 2 medications. Louise, 4 medications. You're on 50 meds. I'm not on, listen, big 0 toots. Toots, you won the raffle today. I don't know what the raffle is, but and Louise, I'm going to tell you this. How long did it take for my improved blood pressure? I saw my first improvement within 6 days in clinic. How long was it before my blood pressure stabilized? It took a year. There's a lot going on, and maybe I'll do a talk later today on blood pressure and how insulin resistance affects that. If you guys want me to do that talk later today, I will come back around 3 and we can do that talk. Just let me know, put a 5 in the chat if you want me to come back and do the talk on blood pressure and how insulin resistance affects it. But I am on zero medications. You know, the only thing in my cupboard now is over the counter, and it's NSAID that I don't even use. It's sitting in my cupboard. I don't have Tums. I don't have cold medicines. I don't have any of the stuff. The only thing in my cupboards is nutritional support. I have no medications. In fact, 2 years ago, I was getting set up with life insurance, and somebody said, "Okay, Mars, I will come back at 3 and we'll talk about high blood pressure and the 5 ways that insulin resistance makes your blood pressure high." Okay. But where was I? So 0 medications, only nutritional support. That's it. So when I look at the $5 a day now, and I look at the average cost of the medications was about $10 a copay. I don't have any of those. That on 13 medications just realistically paid for the system itself. What I did was swap from something that was masking problems to something that was actually addressing the root cause and getting my health back. Now, when I look at the other implications of that, being able to work, being able to play with my grandkids, being able to get up and down off the floor, hike in the woods, go zip lining on retreats, do all of these things that I couldn't do anymore, the return is much better for me. But beyond that, I'm not paying for all the crazy foods that I was eating as my body was like, I need energy, I need energy. And let's not mince words. Hunger, unless it's a mental trigger, a subconscious trigger, hunger is about your body needing energy. And remember, when insulin is high, the energy, even though you're taking it in, can't get into your cells. And it's a problem. Mars, eat better now, mostly fruit, fish, no red meat. Now, I don't know why you're excluding red meat because that's not necessary. Red meat is probably one of the best you can eat depending on your genetics. Okay. I love red meat. It's one of the things that I try to afford because it's so good. Hey, from the Netherlands, Debums. Nice to see you. And I said that wrong. Is it Netherlands? Is that how you say it correctly? Because I want to make sure I get that right. I have a thing for pronunciation. So Netherlands or Netherlands? Which one am I supposed to say? Because I want to get it right. But hi. Okay. Netherlands. All right. Perfect. So no medications, guys. And all I do is drink a tea, which is in my mug this morning. You can have it hot or cold. I drink this in the morning. I have a pre-meal drink that is helping regulate my blood sugars and get those insulin levels down. This pre-meal drink can reduce a blood sugar spice. Spice. Somebody just typed something and I said that wrong. Whew. This can reduce a blood sugar spike up to 40% on a high glycemic meal. With that blood sugar spike reduction means your insulin spikes less. One thing we need to understand is as high as our insulin goes, the higher it goes, the longer it takes for that insulin to drop back down. Your blood sugars can drop really quickly as insulin is trying to do its job, but insulin is like the Queen's Guard, right? It's going to be out there. It's going to do its job. And you've trained it to be out there and be vigilant all the time. So it's not going to go away. And that getting that insulin down so that it doesn't have to be hyper vigilant is a good thing. So we do some intermittent fasting, and don't let that scare you, guys. I was scared at first too. What it just means is that when I have dinner at around 6 or 7, I'm going to stop eating. I'm not going to have popcorn and chips and all the stuff after dinner. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to sleep off about 8 hours of that fast. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to have my tea, which does not break my fast. And then around 1 o'clock, I'll have my first meal, and I will focus on protein and fats in that meal. And then my second meal, I will focus on protein, fats, and add some carbohydrates and this as well. Now, I have this every time I eat because I love the effects of fiber, and I'll talk about fiber later this week too. Key Lime, I see your comments, and I'm so flattered. Thank you very much, but I am not leaving Kentucky. My family is here, and the reason I'm in Kentucky is here, so that's my grandson, and I've got to stay here with him. Now, you have trouble with your pancreas. Mars says she has trouble with her pancreas. Look, your pancreas is being overloaded. When you have an insulin problem, your pancreas is where the insulin hormone comes from. So when you're having to constantly create high levels of insulin, that's putting a workload on your pancreas. Unfortunately, a lot of those injections and stuff that people are doing now also create more work on the pancreas, and that's why they're starting to have pancreatic issues with some of those. You don't drink, but you smoke weed like a train. It helps your stomach settle. Mars, I get that. I get that completely. I don't smoke weed, but I get the action of how that can calm down your gut. Now, look, though, for me, with my stomach settling, I drink this. This isn't just about reduce for me now, it's not just about reducing my blood sugar spike. It's about helping my gut heal. I have a very acidic gut. Like I'm gonna admit to this. I'm autistic. I think about stuff y'all never would even imagine. I worry about stuff that everybody else says just let it go, right? My brain can't. The fiber component, the pre-meal drink component helps settle down all that acidic action in my gut, and I never have to take Tums or any of those things now. If I'm having any acid reflux, say I got a hold of seed oils, or I got a hold of sugar, or I got a hold of something that's making acid reflux kick up, do you know what I do instead of those antacids and whatnot, proton pump inhibitors? I just drink one of these, and within minutes it starts to calm down. Mars, that's all you got to do. I mean, for me, that's what worked. So, and I do get the weed thing with your stomach because it does dampen that action in your stomach, so it does help you settle that. I understand that. But I use the fiber. So the main active ingredients that are address the metabolic issues. Sure, Lucia. I actually will be doing a product overview tonight where I dive deep into things like chlorogenic acids, theobromine, the activities on increasing your own GLP-1. Boy, TikTok really hates me talking about natural solutions today. Whatever, I don't care. Um, So I will go over all of those actions in depth on my product overview tonight. Lucia, let's get together and I will get you the Zoom link for that. I go live on Zoom at 7 to do a full overview of the product. And then after that at 8, I will go over the business side of this and how you can get involved and help um, your network get better too once you hear the product part. If you want to get involved, let's do that, because at 7 is the product, at 8 is the business portion. So just message me using the WhatsApp link and I will put that over here for you guys on YouTube, Facebook, and and we'll work on that. Now, Mars says you need some new products. Your probiotics cost so much. Some I take some probiotics. Our company has a really great source of probiotics. I do, because I think our gut health is so beneficial. So it's going to look like this, Lucia. Today is a really Thursdays are busy for me. At 3, I'm going to come on and talk about blood pressure and insulin resistance right here on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, right? And this is Eastern Standard Time. 3 Eastern Standard Time, I'll be back with the Heart Talk at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So that's 6 Central, 5 Mountain, and 4 Pacific. I'm going to do the full product overview. That talk is done on a Zoom call. So you'll need to message me to get the Zoom link. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific, I'll do the business, how you can get involved. So 7 Eastern Standard Time product, 8 Eastern Standard Time business, and at 3 Eastern Standard Time right here on these platforms, not on a Zoom call, I'm going to be going over blood pressure and how insulin resistance affects it. You have to buy the children's strength because of the cost. So let's get back to Mars. Key Lime, you're off the chain, man. So Mars, let's talk about that. A couple of things. This is actually a prebiotic. So what this does, besides regulating blood sugar, besides helping that insulin and sugar spike, besides helping you feel full, it's actually feeding the good gut bacteria. So those probiotics, it feeds those and helps them be stronger. So what people miss is they're dumping probiotics in, but they're not getting the support that the probiotics need to thrive. So I do this, and I'll show you when I go over the products tonight, I'll show you the probiotic that I use from the same company. But there's that. And Lucia, spoiler alert, these are really simple, clean. There's 7 different types of fiber in here, some phytosterols. We sweeten with stevia, and there's some natural flavorings in it, okay? No of the red 40 or red 4 or 5 or whatever, none of that. Same thing with this. Now, this is much simpler. This is yerba mate with stevia and a little bit of citrus lemon flavor. Neither of these, grapefruit, by the way, is one of the, Lucia knows this, grapefruit is the fruit that has the most interaction with your medications, right? None of that in these. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, it doesn't interact with your other medications. Lucia, it is listed in the PDR, and I'll show you that tonight. Tammy, love you so much. So good to see you in here. Man, I feel like I've been failing everybody being gone for so long. Love, love, love you. Thank you. And I saw your comments, Tammy. I just missed them because there's so much going on. The tea is a game changer. Yes, it is. The tea alone, let's get back to the tea. This comes as a system, you guys. 2 tea, 1 in the morning and once at some point throughout the day when you're feeling hunger or you need energy. Pre-meal drink before your biggest meal with carbohydrates. That's it. It's a system. 3 pieces, a system. It's food. It's not medication, it's food. It's supporting your body to do what your body's meant to do, and that's the key part of it. You want it, go to my link in my profile. You'll find the links to either contact me and have a chat about it first or to purchase there. And for those of you, those of you over on the other channels, I'm typing that in now. Use this link, guys, if you're interested. You'll be able to get a hold of me. You'll be able to see my website, which I'm going to admit I need to update, but yeah. You had an injury, Mars had an injury and had powerful antibiotics and it killed your stomach. Antibiotics are necessary, but not as often as they're giving them to us, and it does kill your gut microbiome. One of the things I love about the system is it will help you build that gut microbiome. And key lime, I used to be addicted to Airborne, but guess what? I don't need it anymore. Here's the thing. A few weeks ago, my whole family got sick, and I kept feeling like I'm getting sick. Part of it was mental. I knew they were. I would have a little bit of the symptoms, but my body is strong enough now, having my gut microbiome taken care of, having my insulin levels normalized, having all of this good stuff happen in my body. I'm able to fight off those viral infections that are going around and not ever get sick. I may feel like, ooh, my ears feel a little tender today, or my energy is dipping, but I never, like my son and daughter-in-law were knocked out on their keisters because their bodies hurt. They were fevering, the whole thing. I feel like a little bit of that, and then it goes away as my body goes, ooh, intruder, let's fight this off. Okay. So, and Tammy says the system is so easy. Been on it for 2 years with her hubby. I know I've been thinking about you. Um, and it truly works. You guys, it's not just me. I'll share stories other times, but today I wanted to, if I'm against Airborne, we won't get along. I'm not against Airborne. I just don't need to take it anymore. What, let's go back down here. So, all right, guys, that's the system. Now, does anybody want me? We started this talk about joints and how joint pain and can be helped with the system through the actions of affecting your insulin. Does anybody want me to just briefly go over how the system affects osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoporosis? Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to give a really brief explanation of why this worked so well, so you can kind of link it up. I like to make links to get together. Airborne does nothing for you. Airborne is a nutritional support to help you fight off viral infections, colds. You take it at the very beginning. If you take it at the very beginning, you can stave it off. But what I'm telling you is that my body's getting the nutrition it needs generally with the system. And I don't have to have all of those things in my cupboard. I used to have NyQuil. I used to have Airborne. I used to have Airborne in the drink phase. I had Airborne in the nasal stuff. I had all of this stuff. And I don't have to have that anymore. Am I against it? No. But my body is getting what it needs to function now, so I don't need it anymore. Okay. That's funny. We can't be a couple because I don't like Airborne. Whew. We can't be a couple because you're not listening to me. All right. So let's talk about osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoporosis, and why I want to link this into insulin resistance, because I'm not going to make some wild claim that this is saving your joints. What this is doing is it's affecting insulin resistance, and through that action, it's giving your joints the chance to heal. So with osteoarthritis and insulin resistance, which the system is addressing the insulin resistance, right? I want to be careful about that. So it's insulin resistance is creating some low-grade chronic inflammation in your body, and that accelerates the breakdown of cartilage, which is the cushioning material in your joints, and this makes osteoarthritis painful and harder to manage. So, can you have osteoarthritis in the absence of insulin resistance? Absolutely. But 99% of us are have some kind of insulin problem. So for me, it's not about curing this thing or that thing. It's about taking care of my overall health and letting my body do what it's supposed to do naturally. Okay. So my body has a fighting chance now. Osteoarthritis, it's also caused in linked to insulin resistance by increased oxidative stress. So high insulin levels um, create increase oxidative stress in your cells, and this is part of where insulin resistance is exacerbating insulin resistance because as your cells get more oxidative stress, they're shutting down, not wanting to get more energy, not creating more of that inflammation in the cell. But insulin resistance can also cause that oxidative stress, which damages your joint tissues and cartilage. And over time, that leads to stiffer and more painful joints. Insulin resistance also leads to weight gain. We talked about your fat cells being your storage units for all that energy that insulin can't deliver anywhere else. So that weight gain is putting extra pressure on your joints and it's placing more stress on your load bearing joints, knees, hips. Why I've had two hips and one knee replaced. I was over 270 pounds at one point. And that exacerbates the osteoarthritis symptoms. So inflammation, oxidative stress, excess weight. Okay. Now, by reducing the inflammation and tackling your insulin resistance, it may help slow the cartilage damage and improve joint mobility, making life more manageable. In my instance, that reducing inflammation, reducing insulin resistance actually helped me regrow cartilage in my right knee. That knee that was supposed to be replaced 3 years ago still doesn't need to be replaced, still has no pain, still functions, doesn't pop, click anymore, any of that. Now, rheumatoid arthritis, because people are like, okay, well, this can affect osteoarthritis, but I have rheumatoid arthritis. I had both. Okay. Let's talk about rheumatoid arthritis really quick and insulin resistance. Again, I'm telling you, this simple system helps with all of this by addressing insulin resistance. So, rheumatoid arthritis, as opposed to osteoarthritis, is an autoimmune condition. The caveat is most autoimmune doctors are starting to admit that rheumatoid arthritis or uh, autoimmune diseases are caused by inflammation. So you have inflammation in your joints, you have inflammation in your gut driven by insulin resistance. Now you're starting to build autoimmune diseases. This is becoming widespread knowledge now where it wasn't anymore or before. So the insulin resistance triggers the release of pro inflammatory cytokines like TNF alpha and IL-6, which are already elevated in rheumatoid arthritis. And this then creates a vicious cycle of joint inflammation and damage. That's one action with rheumatoid arthritis. Shannon, I see you. I see you. I see you. And if you haven't gotten it addressed, talk to me. This is what helped me. And I really am here to help other people. So, let's talk about it. But now, with rheumatoid arthritis, people with insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome are at an increased risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis as the conditions can overactivate the immune system. Remember, we talked about how immune doctors are saying inflammation, insulin resistance causes inflammation. It's an overactivation of your immune system. That's how this is linking into rheumatoid arthritis. Also more common to women. A lot of these are more common to women. Muscle loss as we age, memory function as we age is more common to women. And I really need to dive into why that is. I have the answer, but I don't have it like in my current your memory works in stages. And right now I'm so focused on joints, but you're absolutely right, Lucia. So rheumatoid arthritis, also the inflammation caused by insulin resistance can lead to more severe and prolonged rheumatoid arthritis flare-ups that increase your joint stiffness and swelling. Okay, so by addressing insulin resistance, what you're doing is calming systemic inflammation which can then lower the frequency and severity of RA symptoms. So even if this isn't curing RA, right? Because I don't want to use the word cure, but even if it's not removing RA completely, the fact that it's impacting it in such a powerful way, is it worth it for you? Menopause, hormonal fluctuations during pregnancies, absolutely, Lucia. Thank you for that. So our hormones are just very different in women. It puts us more susceptible to a lot of things. Now, I want to go on to osteoporosis, but I want to check here because I know that my folks on YouTube are saying stuff and I can't see it right now. How much I can pay to save. You guys, everything everything is going crazy over here. Okay, so my phone is dying. TikTok's not liking my talk because I'm talking about natural solutions. We're going to finish this up and then I'll be back at 3, okay? Um yeah, I look forward to connecting with you too, Lucia. I always love connecting with like-minded people and helping people get better. So Mars. Yeah, yeah, I'm 215 pounds. Absolutely, I am. Um, and your dad can't use his fingers. Your trigger finger gets stuck like his, and he can only use a few fingers in each hand. Yeah, so I had neuropathy and edema as well. That kind of goes along with all of this. Reduction of inflammation in the body through reducing insulin resistance absolutely helps. Um, You went to the doctor once, they asked you how much you can pay to save my life, you were disappointed. You know what though? That's a real question, but understand, for me, all the medications are not necessarily the thing. They can be life-saving. Not gonna say that. Um, yeah, the fool is left. Holy cats, that was a mess. Um, all right, osteoarthritis. Let's talk about that, or not osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, and then my phone is gonna die. If I disconnect, please understand that my phone died. We'll be back at 3 talking about heart issues. Osteoporosis, or the weakening of bones, is another thing that's impacted by insulin resistance and the inflammation that insulin resistance causes. So insulin resistance disrupts the body's ability to maintain healthy bone formation and resorption. So your bones are constantly in this mode of breaking down and building up, breaking down and building up. Insulin resistance disrupts the building up part, so you have more breaking down than building up going on, and your bones weaken with insulin resistance. So the inflammation from insulin resistance stimulates those osteoclasts, the cells that break down your bone, more than osteoblasts, the ones that are building up the bone. So remember, less build up, more breakdown. Okay. And that imbalances causes your bones to start becoming brittle, and absolutely with hormonal changes, because estrogens and progesterone and testosterone all are linked to insulin resistance, as well as cortisol very highly. All of those hormones are linked together, and that's why it affects women more, because we have more of those hormonal fluctuations. Lucia, thank you for reminding me of that. Now, when we talk about that hormonal imbalance, high insulin levels can interfere with bone protective hormones like estrogen in women, testosterone in men, accelerating bone loss. And that's another talk for another day. I'd love to talk about hormonal stuff, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, and how these hormones are playing in, because it starts affecting all these things like your bone health, right? That's another topic for another day. But osteoporosis. Insulin resistance can also impair the absorption of key nutrients like calcium and vitamin D, which are essential for your bone health. So getting the insulin resistant, like, we're already deficient in vitamin D. Most of us, you guys, we're inside under artificial lights. We're not getting sunlight, and sunlight is how our body creates vitamin D. We're all a little bit deficient in vitamin D, and now insulin resistance is making us more deficient, and that affects our bones. Okay. So you're not able to absorb nutrients as much with insulin resistance as you should be when your insulin levels, your metabolic health is stronger and more consistent. So if you can improve your insulin resistance, it can slow the bone loss, support proper nutrient absorption, and reduce inflammation, contributing to stronger bones over time. Okay. So, guys, I've got to end it because I don't have my phone charger and my phone's about to die. I love this little live this morning. Not a lot of people on here, but you know what? I don't really care because the people who need to know are here. The people who need to hear this are here, and that's what's important to me. So, again, if you're interested in talking to me, use the link that I put in the other channels, or go to my link here on TikTok right under my profile. Tap on my profile picture. Right under the red light symbols, there is a link. You can get a hold of me via WhatsApp. I can answer the questions that I can answer. I can help you understand why this works for you, not just for everybody, but for you. And we can start to have communication about how to do all of this in a more healthy way. Plus, the last thing I want to say, not the last thing, because I never have enough to say, right? You guys, it's simple. 2 products at 3 points during the day. That's it. That's all I did to take my health back. And it's been life changing for me. But the other thing, remember I said I was driving for Lyft and Uber and I was struggling to get by. Now I do this. I help people understand their illness, help people with a real solution that's not breaking them down, but helping them build their health up. And it's been able to help me 5x my income. And I need a team because I can't reach enough people on my own. And we're on a mission to change 1% of lives throughout the world, and we're not even close to that. If we can affect 1% of people with real nutrition, helping you get your health back, that's a good day for me. You know what? When I lay my head down at the end of my life, if I know that I've affected people in a positive way, my life was worth everything. So if you're interested in that, again, okay, here's how today's going to go because today's a busy day for me. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be back. We're going to talk about blood pressure and how it relates to insulin resistance. The last 2 times I'm going to be on today are on Zoom calls. One is an in-depth product overview. I get into the science and the components and all of that stuff, why this is working and why it's needed. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you got to do is use my link, ask me for the Zoom link, and I will get it to you. I will likely be posting the Zoom link on my personal page and on my professional page on Facebook. So my professional page on Facebook is Brilliant Health with Misha. Just go there. I'll post the link for that today. Yeah, Mars, if you have 10 people that you know that need this information, you're in a perfect spot to start changing lives. And let's talk about that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight on Zoom. And actually, Mars, what I'll do is I'll try to go into the comments on the YouTube video and post both of the links there when I stop this live so that you can have access to both of those links for tonight. Again, tonight's Zoom calls are 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the product and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're interested in changing people's lives and joining a team that's really all about doing this ethically and sustainably and helping people actually start to thrive in life again. Chloroseptic and Melanta. Oh, I drank both of those, Mars, as well. I get it. I was there at one time. Not any of that in my cupboards now. You guys, it's crazy. Facebook group name is Brilliant Health with Misha. Use the link in my profile up here, and it should, if the links are not there right now, I will go open them up. If you use the Linktree link in my TikTok, it should get you to my other platforms. Just follow and go there, and it will get you those. So I will put that in. It's not a group, it's my professional page. So just follow me on Facebook too, and I will get those links out. Or go to my channel at Brilliant Health with Misha on YouTube, and I'm going to put those links in this live on in the comments there as soon as I'm done. So you have a number of ways to get a hold of me, you guys. I would love to see you on the live stream tonight. We're going to go over all the details about the product, why it's working, what it does, how this is affecting insulin resistance. I'm not going to get into as much about all the diseases and stuff because this, I just want you to understand the product and why it works. And then we'll talk about the business at 8. But here on these platforms, I'll come back at 3 and we'll talk blood pressure. Okay. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. And Mars, you've been amazing. Let's get together. Lucia, I look forward to collaborating with you, and let's get this world changed. okay? Changing health gives people a better quality of life. And actually, I think that part of the problem with the whole, uh, this is my own opinion. This is my own opinion. The problem with the the worldview, the attitudes worldwide stems back to our health. People are angry and frustrated, and that comes out of their personalities when they're hurting. So let's help the world have a better positive outlook by addressing their health. All right, you guys, we'll see you at 3, 7, and 8. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing you there. Bye.